Okay, let's get real. Are you tired of letting your natural hair growth dictate how you look every single morning? Well, stop. Today, we're going to dive into a system I call the directional override. It's all about finally taming those stubborn cowlicks and forcing your hair into a sharp, modern silhouette. 0018. So, let's break down exactly how it works. You know, most people think a cowlick is like a life sentence for their hairstyle, that it's some permanent rule you just have to live with. But the truth, in modern grooming, we see these growth patterns as just suggestions, manageable suggestions. You are absolutely not stuck with them. So, the million-dollar question is, how do you actually step in and rewrite those rules? Well, there's a very specific workflow that can essentially erase your hair's memory, and that is exactly what we are going to walk through today. Right, let's start with the big idea here. Your hair's great lie. The only reason your hair insists on going in one direction is because the root has a kind of memory. And here's the kicker, that memory, it can be reset. So, what even is this hair root memory? Look, it's just the natural tendency for your hair to grow in a set direction. But the key word here is tendency. It's not a law. Because with the right technique, and we're talking about heat here, we can temporarily retrain it and make it do exactly what we want. So, to get that really sharp, controlled look, you need a blueprint, right? A plan. This is where the clapboard framework comes in. Think of this as the foundation for the entire style we're about to build. And this is what we're aiming for, the clapboard frame. Just picture it. Perfectly flat vertical sides that create this sharp, almost architectural shape. And then you contrast that with this explosion of volume and height on top. The whole point is structure, precision, and yeah, total control. Okay, enough theory. Let's get to the practical part. We're about to walk through the entire 4-step override system. This is your literal roadmap to gaining that control we've been talking about. Here it is, the whole game plan. 4 steps. First, we reset the root. Then we build the frame. After that, we pivot the volume. And finally, we sculpt the hold. It all kicks off with step 1, hitting reset on that stubborn hair memory. Step 1 is all about basically confusing the heck out of your hair root. You're going to find that spiral at your crown. That's our target. You'll want to use high heat but low airflow on damp hair. And here's the key. You blow dry it in the complete opposite direction of its natural growth. This is the memory reset button. Now for step 2, building that frame. To get those perfectly vertical clapboard sides, we use a super simple heat and press method called the down press. You just blast the sides with heat for about 5 seconds, then immediately press them flat with your palm. But listen, the heat is only half the battle. The real magic that's in what you do next, and this is absolutely crucial. Do not let go right after you apply the heat. The real transformation happens in the next 5 seconds while the hair cools down. You have to hold it flat as it cools, because that's what actually locks that new shape into place. If you let go too early, guess what? The cowlick wins. Alright, on to step 3, what I call the volume pivot. So, the sides are flat and sharp. Right now, we need to build height right at the front. By lifting your fringe upward and forward, you're creating a new focal point. It pulls all the attention away from the crown, which is a brilliant way to hide any splits from the cowlick. It's like a magic trick. Now, hold on before we get to the final step. A really important warning. Do not, I repeat, do not use heavy products like gels or oils. They will completely sabotage all the work you just did. They'll just weigh the hair down and those cowlicks will split right back open. So, that brings us to step 4, the hold. You need a high hold matte clay, and you only need a tiny pea-sized amount. Rub it between your palms until it basically disappears, becoming this invisible film. Then, and this is important, you only apply it to the ends of the hair. We call it surface painting. This gives you an incredibly strong hold without any of the weight. So, after you follow those 4 steps, reset, frame, pivot, and sculpt. This is what you get, the final result. This is that sharp, controlled,